A mother sculpts a child from her own body. A father returns home and doesn't recognize his son. In a single moment of rage, a head falls. And what happens next, what truly happens next, is something most people have never been told correctly. Not the version your temple taught you, not the version your grandmother whispered. The real story, documented in 4 separate ancient texts, containing a detail so disturbing, so philosophically devastating, that scholars argued about it for centuries. But before we get there, I need to ask you something. Have you ever wondered why the most worshipped deity in one of the world's oldest religions has the head of an animal? Every other major deity, human form, perfect, radiant, divine. But Ganesha, an elephant's head on a child's body. Why? The answer is not what you think. And by the end of this video, you will never look at Ganesha the same way again. Stay with me, because we are going to uncover every layer of this story, and the last one will change everything. To understand why Ganesha was created, you first have to understand what was missing. Shiva, the destroyer, the eternal one, the God who holds the universe together through the power of his stillness, lived in a state of cosmic meditation so deep, so absolute, that the world around him barely registered. Wars could be fought, empires could fall, demons could breach the gates of heaven itself. Shiva would remain still, and Parvati, his consort, the goddess of power and devotion, the embodiment of Shakti itself, felt it. Not anger, not bitterness, something quieter and far more dangerous. Loneliness. The Shiva Purana, one of the 18 Mahapuranas, compiled between the 7th and 11th centuries CE, describes this moment with extraordinary specificity. It says Parvati longed for a guardian, someone loyal only to her, someone who could not be swayed, bribed, or commanded by anyone else in the cosmos. Think about that word. Only. In a universe filled with gods, demigods, celestial servants, and divine armies, the most powerful goddess in existence had no one she could call only hers. This is where Ganesha begins, not with a miracle, with loneliness. What she does next is one of the most remarkable acts of creation in all of Hindu mythology. The Shiva Purana states that Parvati gathered the ubtan, a sacred cleansing paste made from turmeric, sandalwood, and oil, from her own body, the sacred residue of her skin, her very essence. She shaped it with her hands. She gave it form. She gave it life. And the being that rose before her was described as, and I am drawing directly from the text here, radiant as the sun, with all auspicious marks, with every limb perfect. A boy, beautiful, powerful, completely devoted to her from the first breath. She named him Vinayaka, meaning the supreme leader, and she gave him one task: guard the entrance to my chambers. Let no one enter, no one. And the boy, loyal, fearless, armed with a staff, took his position at the door. He had no idea what was coming. Shiva had been away. Deep meditation, cosmic wandering, the kind of absence that only gods can afford. He returned to his own home on Mount Kailash and found a stranger blocking the door. Now here is where history gets complicated, because there are 3 different versions of what happened next, each from a different Purana, each revealing something different about the gods involved. And I am going to give you all 3, because each one changes the meaning of everything that follows. Version 1 comes from the Shiva Purana. Shiva asked who the boy was. The boy refused to answer. He refused to move. Shiva's attendants, the Ganas, his divine army, attempted to remove him by force. The boy defeated them, every single one. He defeated the divine army of the most powerful god in existence. The Brahma Vaivarta Purana adds that even Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the preserver, came forward at Shiva's request, and the boy held his ground against them too. Version 2 comes from the Linga Purana. This version suggests Shiva knew exactly who the boy was, that he recognized in him something dangerous, absolute, unquestioning loyalty, a force that could not be negotiated with, could not be reasoned with, could not be turned, and that this scared him, not because he feared the boy's power, but because he understood what it meant. A consciousness that existed in the world, loyal to Parvati alone, impossible to control. In a cosmos held together by divine balance, that was a crack in the foundation. Version 3 is the one most scholars find the most disturbing. It comes from the Skanda Purana, and I am going to hold it back for just a moment, because to understand it, you first need to witness what actually happened at that door. Shiva struck. With his trishul, the trident that can end creation itself, he severed the boy's head in a single motion, and then Parvati came out. The Shiva Purana describes what followed in terms that are almost uncomfortable to read, because they are not the soft language of legend, they are the raw language of grief. Parvati wept, she raged, she transformed into Adi Shakti, the primordial power that existed before the gods, before creation, before time itself, and she threatened to unmake the cosmos, not as a metaphor, as a statement of intent. The gods trembled, the planets froze in their orbits. Brahma himself came forward and begged her to stop. And here is the detail that most retellings erase completely. Parvati did not simply ask for her son to be restored. She made demands. Documented in the Shiva Purana, chapter 17 of the Rudra Samhita, she demanded that her son be restored to life, that he be given a position higher than all other gods, and that he be worshipped before any other deity in any ritual, anywhere, for all of time. These were not requests, they were non-negotiable. The universe itself held its breath. Now, I promised you the third version, the one from the Skanda Purana, the one that changes everything. Some scholars, most notably Wendy Doniger in her analysis of Shiva texts, and independently Alf Hiltebeitel in his comparative work on South Asian mythology, have pointed to a theological reading of the beheading that is almost never discussed in popular retellings, and it goes like this. Parvati created a being from her own body, without Shiva, without his knowledge, without his participation, without his consent. She brought into existence a consciousness that owed nothing to him and could not be controlled by him. And in Shiva theology, this represents a fundamental challenge to cosmic order. Not because Shiva is a tyrant, but because in this metaphysical framework, creation itself is the union of Shiva and Shakti. Neither can create alone without the result being incomplete. The boy Parvati made was perfect in form, but he was missing something he could not even name. The beheading in this reading is not a mistake. It is not blind rage. It is the cosmos correcting an imbalance. The elephant head, belonging to a creature that was not born of Parvati, but of the wider universe, becomes the act of completion. Shiva and Parvati did not simply restore the boy to who he was. They transformed him into something that could only exist through both of them. And that is why his head belongs to the most sacred animal in Vedic cosmology, because the elephant was not chosen at random. This is documented, and the scholarship behind it is extraordinary. Shiva sent his Ganesha northward, north being the most auspicious direction in Vedic tradition, with one instruction. Find the first living creature sleeping with its head facing north. Bring the head back. They found an elephant. In the Agni Purana and the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, both argue this was not accidental. It was cosmically inevitable. The elephant, Gaja in Sanskrit, carries extraordinary symbolic weight in Vedic cosmology. The Airavata, the great white elephant of Indra, supports the heavens. 8 elephants, or the Ashtadikpalas, guard the 8 cardinal directions of the universe. In Vedic thought, the elephant embodies 3 specific qualities: Buddhi, which is intelligence; Riddhi, which is prosperity; and Siddhi, which is spiritual perfection. These are not incidental traits. These are the precise qualities that Ganesha would come to represent as the remover of obstacles. And then there is this, something that scholars, including Alan Danyalu, noted in his 1964 work, Hindu Polytheism. The shape of the elephant's trunk, when curled inward, is one of the earliest visual representations of the sacred syllable Om. Some scholars argue this was the explicit theological intent, that Ganesha's very form encodes the primordial sound of creation into his body. His head is not a punishment. His head is a cosmic upgrade. The boy who was born perfect was made more than perfect. The restoration was immediate. Shiva placed the elephant head upon the boy's shoulders and breathed life back into him with his own divine breath. And then, publicly, before the assembled cosmos, he made a declaration that would echo through every century of Hindu civilization that followed. This is my son. He shall be called Ganapati, Lord of all the Ganas. He shall be worshipped first before all gods in every ritual, in every prayer, in every endeavor undertaken by any being in any world. No undertaking shall succeed without his blessing. Brahma confirmed it. Vishnu confirmed it. The Ganapati Atharva Shirsha Upanishad, one of the minor Upanishads and one of the most theologically dense texts in the Hindu canon, opens with the declaration that Ganesha is Brahman itself. Not a minor deity, not a household god kept near the entrance for good luck. The first among all that exists, the one through whom everything else becomes possible. And he earned that position not through battle, not through cosmic austerity, not through power alone, but through the love of a mother who refused to accept the universe's answer. Parvati's loneliness created him. Shiva's trident transformed him. Her grief resurrected him. And the cosmos, having no other choice, bowed. Today, over 180 million people celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi every year. The festival is documented as far back as the Maratha Empire under Chhatrapati Shivaji in the 17th century, and was revived as a mass public movement by Bal Gangadhar Tilak in 1893, specifically as a tool to unite people across caste and community during the Indian independence movement. Tilak understood something that the ancient Puranas had always known, that Ganesha does not belong to one kind of person. He belongs to everyone who has ever stood at the beginning of something difficult and needed to believe that the path forward was possible. People do not simply remember this story, they live inside it. Because what it actually says, underneath the mythology, underneath the philosophy, underneath the centuries of ritual and devotion, is something every human being already knows in their bones. That transformation is violent, that what we lose can be the door to what we were always meant to become, that the greatest obstacles in our lives are not obstacles at all. They are the universe shaping us into something it needs. Ganesha was beheaded, and he became the remover of obstacles for all of creation. If that is not the most human story ever told, I do not know what is. Jai Shri Ganesha. If this story moved something in you, if it made you see something you had not seen before, then you already know what to do. Like this video, it tells the universe and the algorithm that stories like this deserve to be heard. Share it with someone who needs it right now. A seeker, a believer, a skeptic, someone in the middle of their own transformation, and subscribe, because we are only just beginning. The stories we have coming will go even deeper. We will see you there.